Kanichi Shinoda runs the Yamaguchi Gumi, a deadly mob that was recently caught smuggling nuclear materials into the US. El Mencho has a $10 million bounty on his head, and his cartel is officially classified as a terrorist organization. Fausto Isidro Meza Flores is one of the FBI's most wanted men, and his cartel is responsible for flooding America's streets with fentanyl. In this video, I will pull back the curtains on the most powerful mafia bosses who are secretly controlling America's criminal underworld. Domenico Italian Dom Cefalù. Domenico Italian Dom Cefalù is the current boss of the Gambino crime family, maintaining a low profile to avoid law enforcement scrutiny. Since assuming leadership in 2011, this 83-year-old patriarch has transformed the Gambino family into a modern criminal enterprise. The family, once ruled by the infamous John Gotti, has undergone a dramatic transformation under Cefalù's leadership. While Gotti craved the spotlight and lived lavishly, drawing unwanted attention from federal investigators, Cefalù has chosen the path of the ghost, present everywhere but visible nowhere. Operating from the shadows, Cefalù has masterfully delegated day-to-day operations to Lorenzo Mannino, who serves as the acting or street boss, handling the family's continued influence. This structure allows Cefalù to maintain plausible deniability while ensuring that his empire continues to generate massive profits through traditional mafia rackets. The scope of the Gambino family's current operations is staggering. Recent activities include a June 2024 arrest of 17 members for an illegal sports gambling and loan sharking operation in Staten Island, handling over $22.7 million in bets. But this is merely the tip of the iceberg. The family's tentacles reach deep into construction, waste management, and labor unions across the tri-state area, generating hundreds of millions of dollars annually through a sophisticated network of protection rackets, bid rigging schemes, and labor racketeering. What makes Cefalù particularly dangerous is his understanding that in the modern era, information is power and anonymity is survival. Unlike the flashy dons of the past, he has built his empire on the principle that the most powerful man in the room is often the one nobody notices. The family's estimated 200 made members operate in a structure that spans New York City, New Jersey, and Florida, each carefully insulated from the others through layers of lieutenants and intermediaries. In November 2023, 10 members and associates were arrested for racketeering, conspiracy, extortion, witness retaliation, and union corruption, targeting businesses for protection payments and no-show jobs. This operation revealed the family's continued ability to infiltrate legitimate businesses and labor organizations. Perhaps most unsettling is the family's international reach. The coordinated arrests that took place simultaneously in New York and Palermo, Sicily, demonstrate that Cefalù's organization maintains active connections with traditional Sicilian mafia groups, creating a transatlantic criminal network that can move money, drugs, and influence across continents with impunity. While Domenico Cefalù is the shadow emperor of the Gambino family, his influence pales in comparison to that of this next boss, Liborio S. Barney Bellomo. Liborio S. Barney Bellomo, the official boss of the Genovese crime family since 2013, is the invisible hand that guides what law enforcement officials consider to be the most powerful and sophisticated of all the five families. At 68 years old, Bellomo has achieved something that most organized crime figures can only dream of. He has managed to become virtually untouchable while overseeing a criminal empire that generates hundreds of millions of dollars annually and influences everything from Wall Street trading floors to the docks of New Jersey. The Genovese crime family, under Bellomo's masterful leadership, has earned a reputation as the Ivy League of organized crime. While other families have suffered devastating blows from federal prosecutions and internal warfare, the Genovese family has maintained its power through a combination of sophisticated planning, strategic thinking, and an almost supernatural ability to avoid law enforcement attention. Michael Mickey Ragusa acts as the street boss, managing operations while Bellomo maintains his position as the ultimate authority. With around 220 made members, the family is involved in gambling, loan sharking, and labor racketeering, but these traditional activities have been supplemented and enhanced by ventures into areas that would make Wall Street executives envious. The family has developed sophisticated money laundering operations that move illegal proceeds through legitimate businesses with an efficiency that rivals major financial institutions. One of the most striking examples of the family's continued power came to light in March 2025, when the New York Times reported that the Genovese family agreed to share profits from illegal gambling at the Grand Cafe with the Bonanno crime family. This revelation also demonstrates the family's ability to negotiate and maintain complex interfamily agreements that would challenge the diplomatic skills of international treaty makers. The Genovese family's approach to criminal enterprise reflects Bellomo's understanding that in the modern era, the most successful criminals are those who operate like legitimate businessmen. In April 2024, 5 members and associates, including former acting captain Carmelo Carmine Polito, pleaded guilty to racketeering involving illegal gambling and attempted extortion. While such arrests might seem to indicate weakness, they actually demonstrate the family's sophisticated risk management. By compartmentalizing operations and ensuring that lower-level members take responsibility for specific schemes, the leadership remains insulated from direct prosecution. The family's international connections are equally impressive. Through partnerships with traditional Italian mafia groups, Eastern European organized crime syndicates, and South American drug cartels, the Genovese family has created a global network that can move drugs, money, and influence across continents with remarkable efficiency. While Bellomo focuses on gambling and other rackets, this next leader is well known for drug trafficking. Nemesio El Mencho Oseguera Cervantes. While the Italian-American mafia families of New York have dominated headlines for decades, perhaps no single figure in organized crime today wields more raw power or poses a greater threat to American society than Nemesio El Mencho Oseguera Cervantes, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, with a $10 million US bounty. At 59 years old, this former police officer turned cartel kingpin has built what the DEA considers to be one of the most dangerous and sophisticated criminal organizations in the world, one that has transformed the landscape of drug trafficking and violence not just in Mexico, but throughout the United States. What makes El Mencho particularly dangerous is not just his willingness to use extreme violence, but his strategic genius in building a criminal organization that operates with the efficiency of a multinational corporation and the ruthlessness of a military organization. The DEA considers CJN a top US threat, and in February 2025, the US State Department designated it as a terrorist organization, a designation that reflects the cartel's unprecedented level of violence and its sophisticated operational capabilities. This designation puts CJN in the same category as ISIS and Al-Qaeda, underscoring the threat that El Mencho's organization poses not just to public safety, but to national security itself. The scope of CJNG's operations in the United States is staggering in its breadth and sophistication. Recent activities include a February 2025 seizure of 344 pounds of methamphetamine linked to CJN in Texas. But this represents merely a fraction of the drugs that the organization successfully smuggles into American communities every month. The cartel has established distribution networks that reach into at least 27 US states, creating a supply chain that delivers drugs from rural Mexican laboratories to American street corners with remarkable efficiency. What sets El Mencho apart from other cartel leaders is his understanding of global markets and international business. CJN has established relationships with suppliers and distributors on every continent, creating a truly global criminal enterprise. The cartel uses international contacts, including in Guatemala, where they collaborate with groups like the Huistas for cocaine and synthetic drug trafficking into the US. This international reach allows CJN to arbitrage differences in law enforcement effectiveness, drug prices, and regulatory environments across multiple countries. The cartel's specialization in fentanyl production and distribution has made it perhaps the single most dangerous threat to American public health in the 21st century. The DEA's 2025 report highlights CJN as a key supplier of fentanyl alongside the Sinaloa cartel, with potential alliances forming between CJN and Sinaloa factions. Perhaps most disturbing is the cartel's approach to violence and intimidation. CJN is considered the most violent cartel in Mexican history, with 80% of cartel-related deaths between 2013 and 2023 linked to them. This violence is not random or impulsive. It is carefully calculated and strategically deployed to maintain control, eliminate competition, and send messages to rivals and authorities. The cartel has pioneered new forms of public intimidation, including mass killings recorded for social media distribution and elaborate public displays of captured enemies. El Mencho's personal security and operational security have become legendary within law enforcement circles. Despite being the subject of one of the largest manhunts in modern history, he has managed to evade capture for over a decade while maintaining active control of his organization. This achievement requires not just personal cunning, but a level of organizational loyalty and operational discipline that speaks to his effectiveness as a leader and the fear he inspires in those around him. Like El Mencho, this next boss has evaded capture for years while running a criminal organization. Fausto Isidro Mesa Flores. In the shadowy world of Mexican organized crime, few figures command the level of fear and respect accorded to Fausto Isidro Meza Flores, also known as Chapo Isidro, the current leader of the Beltran Leyva cartel, with a $5 million reward for his capture. Added to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list in February 2025, this 45-year-old criminal mastermind has transformed what was once a fractured organization into a lean, efficient, and extraordinarily violent criminal enterprise that poses a significant threat to American communities. His rise to leadership of the Beltran Leyva cartel represents one of the most remarkable transformations in modern organized crime, taking a fractured, demoralized organization and rebuilding it into a force capable of challenging much larger and better established rivals. The scope of the organization's current operations under Meza Flores' leadership became dramatically clear in March 2025, when 22 alleged members were indicted for importing and distributing over a ton of fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine into the US, with seizures including more than 1,000 kilograms of drugs and $250,000 in proceeds. This operation, coordinated across California, Arizona, Iowa, and Colorado, revealed the cartel's sophisticated transnational network and its ability to move massive quantities of drugs across the American border with remarkable efficiency. What makes Meza Flores particularly dangerous is his organization's specialization in fentanyl production and distribution. In April 2025, Jesus Alfredo Beltran Guzman, a key leader of the organization, was sanctioned by OFAC for playing a significant role in drug trafficking, including fentanyl, into the US. The cartel was implicated in the largest fentanyl seizure in Mexican history, over 1,000 kilos discovered in Sinaloa on December 3, 2024. The Beltran Leyva cartel's approach to violence under Meza Flores' leadership has become a signature of their operations. Jesus Alfredo Beltran Guzman is linked to the murder of Alexi Guadalupe on December 18, 2024, and the cartel has a well-documented history of employing sicarios, hitmen, for acts of extreme violence, including kidnappings, torture, and the violent collection of drug debts. This violence serves multiple purposes. It eliminates competitors, intimidates potential witnesses, and sends clear messages to anyone who might consider challenging the organization's authority. Meza Flores has demonstrated remarkable strategic thinking in his approach to criminal enterprise. Rather than attempting to compete directly with larger cartels like CJN or the Sinaloa cartel, he has focused on building a more specialized, efficient organization that can operate in the spaces between larger criminal enterprises. This approach has allowed the Beltran Leyva cartel to maintain its independence while avoiding the kind of large-scale conflicts that have destroyed other criminal organizations. Perhaps the most concerning issue for American law enforcement is the cartel's demonstrated ability to corrupt officials and infiltrate legitimate institutions. The organization has been linked to corruption schemes involving Mexican police, military officials, and government bureaucrats, creating a protective umbrella that allows their operations to continue with minimal interference. This corruption extends across the border, with documented cases of the cartel attempting to corrupt American officials and law enforcement personnel. While Meza Flores specializes in the production of fentanyl, this next boss has found a way to operate in different states while remaining under the radar. Kenichi Shinoda. In the neon-lit streets of Tokyo, there exists a criminal organization so sophisticated and so deeply embedded in Japanese society that it operates with virtual impunity. At the head of this organization sits Kenichi Shinoda, also known as Shinobu Tsukasa, the current leader of the Yamaguchi Gumi, Japan's largest Yakuza syndicate, a man whose influence extends far beyond the borders of Japan to touch the lives of Americans in ways that most people could never imagine. At 83 years old, Shinoda is a leader who has successfully bridged the gap between traditional criminal enterprises and modern global business. Having served as the Kumicho, which means supreme leader, since 2005 he has overseen the transformation of the Yamaguchi Gumi from a purely Japanese criminal organization into a transnational enterprise that maintains significant operations throughout the United States and generates billions of dollars in annual revenue through activities that range from traditional extortion and gambling to sophisticated cybercrime and nuclear materials trafficking. The Yamaguchi Gumi's presence in the United States represents one of the most underestimated threats in modern organized crime. The Yakuza maintains a presence in U.S. cities like Hawaii, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Las Vegas, Arizona, Virginia, Chicago, and New York City. The scope of Yakuza operations in the United States became dramatically clear in a notable 2025 case involving Takeshi Ebisawa, a Yakuza leader who pleaded guilty to trafficking nuclear materials, including uranium and weapons-grade plutonium, from Burma to other countries. This case also revealed their sophisticated understanding of international law, their ability to operate across multiple jurisdictions, and their willingness to engage in activities that pose direct threats to national security. The FBI has suspected the Yakuza is using various operations to launder money in the US since at least 2008, employing front companies in legitimate industries such as construction, real estate, and finance. These operations don't just move money, they create legitimate business enterprises that generate real economic value while simultaneously serving criminal purposes. One of the most concerning aspects of Yakuza operations in the United States is their approach to drug trafficking. The organization uses Hawaii as a midway station for smuggling methamphetamine into the US and firearms back to Japan, leveraging the state's geographic position and Japanese tourist traffic. This two-way trafficking operation creates a circular economy of crime that enriches the organization while destabilizing communities on both sides of the Pacific. Perhaps most remarkably, the Yakuza has managed to build strategic alliances with other criminal organizations throughout the United States. In California, they collaborate with Korean gangs, Chinese triads, and Vietnamese gangs, while in New York City, they collect finder's fees from Russian, Irish, and Italian gang members for guiding Japanese tourists to gambling establishments. These alliances allow the Yakuza to operate in markets and territories where they might otherwise face resistance, while providing local criminal organizations with access to international networks and sophisticated criminal techniques. While Shinoda's leadership has lasted for about 2 decades, this next boss has been the leader of his family for much longer. Vittorio Little Vic Amuso. Vittorio Little Vic Amuso has been the official boss of the Lucchese crime family since 1986. He is currently serving a life sentence since 1992. Yet he continues to orchestrate one of the most sophisticated criminal enterprises in American organized crime from his prison cell, proving that in the world of the Mafia, physical freedom is far less important than the respect and fear that comes with true power. At 91 years old, Amuso is a boss who has managed to maintain absolute control over his organization for over 3 decades while serving a life sentence for racketeering and ordering 9 murders. Michael Big Mike DeSantis has been the acting boss since 2017, following Amuso's orders while managing the family's day-to-day operations across 7 crews. The scope of the family's current operations became dramatically clear in April 2025, when 39 members and associates were charged with racketeering, illegal gambling, and money laundering in New Jersey, with the family operating poker clubs and online sportsbooks that generated over $3 million in proceeds. This massive operation, dubbed Operation Heat, revealed not just the family's continued involvement in traditional gambling rackets, but their sophisticated understanding of modern technology and their ability to operate complex illegal enterprises across multiple states. Perhaps most remarkably, Amuso has managed to maintain his authority despite spending over 3 decades in federal prison. His request for compassionate release in 2023 was denied due to the severity of his crimes, but the very fact that he continues to be considered the family's ultimate authority speaks to the personal loyalty and fear that he inspires among his subordinates. This loyalty has been maintained through a sophisticated system of rewards and punishments that operates both inside and outside the prison system. The family's international connections have also remained strong under Amuso's leadership. The Lucchese family maintains relationships with traditional Sicilian mafia groups, Eastern European organized crime syndicates, and South American drug cartels, creating a global network that allows them to move money, drugs, and influence across continents. While Amuso remains in jail, this next boss was recently released and is back to ruling his family full-time. Michael Mickey Nose Mancuso. The story of Michael Mickey Nose Mancuso, the current boss of the Bonanno crime family who was released from prison on July 28, 2024, represents one of the most remarkable comebacks in modern mafia history. Named boss in 2013 while imprisoned, Mancuso has demonstrated a level of resilience and strategic thinking that has allowed him to not only survive the dangerous politics of organized crime, but to emerge stronger and more influential than ever before. The scope of Bonanno family operations under Mancuso's leadership became clear through several several dramatic incidents in 2025. In May 2025, a Bonanno social club was robbed by four masked individuals, with family administrators Joe Spirito and Ernie Aiello present during the robbery, where perpetrators allegedly stole cash and jewelry valued at over $100,000. The family's continued involvement in traditional organized crime activities was further highlighted by the March 2025 sentencing of John Regano, also known as Bazoo, a soldier in the Bonanno crime family, to 37 months in prison for the extortionate collection of credit related to a $150,000 loan. This case demonstrated the family's ongoing involvement in loan sharking and their willingness to use threats and intimidation to collect debts, traditional mafia activities that continue to generate significant profits in the modern era. The Bonanno family's estimated 120 made members operate primarily in New York City, with crews managing activities in Brooklyn and Long Island. This relatively smaller size compared to other five families has actually proven to be an advantage under Mancuso's leadership, allowing for more efficient communication, tighter security, and more personal relationships between leadership and rank-and-file members. Mancuso's approach to leadership has been characterized by a focus on earning rather than territory, violence, or ego. This practical philosophy has allowed the Bonanno family to avoid many of the destructive conflicts that have weakened other criminal organizations, while maintaining their ability to generate significant profits through traditional rackets like gambling, extortion, and labor racketeering. While Mancuso runs a relatively small crew, the next boss controls a much larger empire from behind bars. Theodore N. Skinny Teddy Persico Jr. In the violent and chaotic world of the Colombo crime family, where internal wars have claimed more lives than conflicts with rival organizations, Theodore N. Skinny Teddy Persico Jr. stands as the current official boss, imprisoned until December 29, 2025. He represents a new generation of mafia leadership that has learned to exercise power from behind prison walls while maintaining the fierce family loyalty that has defined the Persico dynasty for over half a century. At 59 years old, Persico Jr. embodies the complex legacy of one of the most storied families in American organized crime. The Colombo family, under the Persico leadership, has always been characterized by its willingness to use extreme violence to maintain control and settle disputes. Theodore Persico Jr. was sentenced to 5 years in prison in December 2023, following his arrest in September 2021 in an extensive indictment against the family. But even from his prison cell, he continues to exercise ultimate authority over an organization that law enforcement officials describe as one of the most dangerous and unpredictable of the five families. Little Robert D'Onofrio is believed to be running the family as acting boss following the death of Andrew Mush Russo in April 2022, managing day-to-day operations while Persico Jr. serves his sentence. The family's continued involvement in criminal activities was dramatically illustrated by the February 5, 2025 arrest of Joseph Oropallo and his son Frank, descendants of a former capo on major gun charges. This incident demonstrates the family's ongoing involvement in weapons trafficking and their willingness to include multiple generations of the same families in their criminal enterprises, maintaining the traditional emphasis on blood relationships and family loyalty that has always characterized Italian-American organized crime. In February 2024, Vincent Ricciardo, a captain known as Vinnie Unions, was sentenced to over 4 years in prison for shaking down a Queens-based construction union, demonstrating the family's continued focus on labor racketeering and their ability to extract profits from legitimate businesses through threats and intimidation. The Colombo family's estimated 100 made members operate primarily in Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Long Island, controlling territory that includes some of the most valuable real estate and profitable businesses in the New York metropolitan area. This geographic concentration allows the family to maintain tight control over their operations while maximizing their ability to extract tribute from legitimate businesses operating in their territory. Persico may be running his family from prison, but this next boss has reshaped his entire organization. Salvatore Soli di De Laurentiis. In the windswept streets of Chicago, where the ghost of Al Capone still haunts the collective imagination, and the legacy of organized crime runs as deep as the foundations of the Willis Tower, Salvatore Soli di De Laurentiis has allegedly emerged as the current leader of the Chicago outfit. At 86 years old, De Laurentiis is a leader who has successfully transformed a traditional mafia family into a modern criminal enterprise that generates enormous profits while avoiding the spectacular violence and public attention that destroyed many of his predecessors. The FBI considers the outfit a viable criminal organization in 2025, though less violent than in its historical peak. With recent investigations focusing on racketeering and fraud, the scope of outfit operations under De Laurentiis' leadership has shifted dramatically from the traditional traditional rackets that made Chicago famous during the Prohibition era. The organization now focuses on fraud, online gambling, illegal marijuana schemes, and labor racketeering, using legal businesses like restaurants to conceal illicit profits. What makes De Laurentiis particularly formidable as a leader is his understanding that in the modern era, the most successful criminal organizations are those that can operate like legitimate businesses while maintaining the loyalty and discipline that have always characterized effective organized crime families. Under his leadership, the outfit has developed sophisticated risk management systems, strategic planning processes, and operational security measures that would be impressive in any legitimate corporation. The outfit's approach to violence has been completely revolutionized under De Laurentiis' leadership. Rather than relying on the spectacular public murders that characterized the organization during its peak in the early 20th century, the modern outfit has reduced violent crimes to avoid federal scrutiny. This strategic shift reflects De Laurentiis' understanding that in the post-RICO era, violence brings more problems than solutions, and that the most effective criminal organizations are those that can achieve their goals through economic pressure rather than physical intimidation. While De Laurentiis reinvented the outfit's approach to violence, this next pair of bosses built a legacy that is soaked in it. Miguel and Omar Trevino Morales. Los Zetas is currently fragmented into regional factions following the extradition its leaders Miguel Trevino Morales, Z40, and Omar Trevino Morales, Z42, to the United States in February 2025. The current state of Los Zetas represents one of the most significant transformations in modern organized crime. What was once a unified, disciplined, and extraordinarily violent organization with military-style command structure has evolved into a collection of independent local factions, each operating with its own priorities, territorial concerns, and criminal specializations. The organization's origins as the enforcement arm of the Gulf Cartel, comprising deserters from Mexico's elite military forces, gave Los Zetas a level of tactical sophistication and operational discipline that set them apart from other criminal organizations. Their military training and experience allowed them to develop new forms of criminal enterprise that combined traditional drug trafficking with advanced techniques of warfare, intelligence gathering, and territorial control that had never before been seen in organized crime. The scope of Los Zetas' historical operations in the United States provides important context for understanding their continued influence, even in their current fragmented state. The organization traditionally smuggled cocaine and methamphetamine through the U.S. southwest border, particularly near Laredo and Eagle Pass, Texas, creating distribution networks that supplied drugs to American communities from coast to coast, while generating billions of dollars in revenue that funded further expansion and increasingly sophisticated criminal operations. An indictment from July 2024 claimed that the Trevino brothers trafficked 45 tons of cocaine into the U.S., among other countries, generating $10 million in profits annually, demonstrating the massive scale of the organization's operations during its peak years. Los Zetas pioneered new forms of public intimidation, mass killings, and psychological warfare that were designed not just to eliminate enemies but to terrorize entire populations into submission. Their techniques include beheadings, torture, massacres of innocents, and elaborate public displays of mutilated bodies that serve as warnings to anyone who might consider challenging their authority. The organization is involved in human trafficking, extortion, arms smuggling, and other activities, particularly in northern Mexican cities like Nuevo Laredo, creating a comprehensive criminal economy that extracted value from virtually every economic activity within their sphere of influence. The continuing influence of Los Zetas in the United States, even in their current fragmented state, demonstrates the lasting impact that sophisticated criminal organizations can have on communities and institutions. Local Zeta cells continue to operate in American border communities, maintaining drug distribution networks, engaging in human trafficking, and conducting other criminal activities that generate significant profits while destabilizing local communities and corrupting local institutions. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.